Hi, and welcome back. In this video, we'll cover variables, types, and string interpolation. I have a very basic Hello World program on hand, and if you don't have this, go ahead and type this into your editor so we can start on the same page. Let's start by taking the Hello World text that we printed out to the console earlier and pull it out to its own variable. In Dart, we use the var keyword when defining a new variable. That's var on line 2. After the keyword, we give the variable a name. It can be whatever you want, but it's generally a good idea to try to make it relevant. Next, we assign our variable a value using the equals symbol and the value we want to assign to it. In this case, I'll go ahead and assign hello world to our variable. Now that we have our variable defined, we can use it in place of the text hello world on the line below. Great, let's go ahead and define a new variable for name, and I'll go ahead and put my name, but you should use yours. Let's make our program a little more personal. So instead of saying hello world, we're going to say hello in the name that we put in the name variable. In my case, it'll say hello Brad, but in your case, it may say something like hello Jennifer or hello John. We can use a technique known as string interpolation to take our variables and insert them into text. It's important to note that generally speaking, in programming, we don't refer to text as text. We refer to text as a string. If you're not familiar with a string is just a string of characters, a list of characters that form a word or a sentence or so much more. I'm going to go ahead and modify the say hello variable to use string interpolation to interpolate our name into the text. If you're using an IDE like VS Code, you'll notice that the word name turned orange in my case, and it will probably turn a different color in yours. That means that the Dart tools have recognized that name is a variable and not just the word name. Let's flip back to our terminal and run our application. If you remember from the last video, we can use Dart run to execute our code. Awesome. You'll see now that instead of saying hello world, it says hello Brad. Let's go back to our editor. I'm going to create a new variable called age, and I will store my age in that variable. So we've already interpolated a string, but now we're going to add two strings together. This just puts the string on the left to the left and the string on the right to the right and connects them. In this new string, I'm going to put you are 28 years old, except instead of 28, I want it to be whatever is in the age variable. Yet again, we'll use string interpolation to help solve this problem. Let's go ahead and run our modified program to see if it actually says, hello Brad, you are 28 years old. And while that's a painful reminder of my age, it does seem our program is doing what it's supposed to do. Let's move on. Dart is a type-safe language. Type safety is the concept of preventing type errors in a programming language. Up until now, we've been using the var keyword, which is a form of type inference. Type inference allows a programming language to infer the type of the variable based off of what you're assigning to it. It's generally very safe, and in Dart, it's even encouraged when working with local variables. Let's go back to our code and change our age variable to explicitly be set to a number instead of just a var. We're using the num type here, and our editor is even giving us a little bit of information about that type. Earlier, we discussed that our other two variables are strings, so let's go ahead and explicitly set those types as well. It's good to get in the habit of running your program often, so we're going to go ahead and run ours to make sure that our output is still the same after changing these types. Great, it still is. Let's go back to our editor and remove everything inside of the main function. We're going to go ahead and dive into some of the operations you can do with numbers. Just like with math, you can add, subtract, multiply, divide. So go ahead and replicate what I've written on my screen on yours. You can see that we're using type inference again to set up two new variables, cost and tax. We have our cost set to 1 and our tax set to 0.07 or 7%. We're still calling print like before, but this time we're passing in a small math formula. We're taking our cost and then we're multiplying it by 1 plus the tax percent. This simple formula will give us a total cost of the purchase. Let's go ahead and run our code. Great, 1.07. But if we're calculating tax, we're probably working with a currency. We'll go ahead and use US dollars. We'll change our print function to be another string, and we'll interpolate it just like before, using the $sign. Let's run this and see what happens. Wait, that doesn't look right. It looks like our interpolation didn't work out how we had planned. In fact, it actually looks like it's writing out our formula. Let's take a look at why that is. So if we go back to our editor, you might notice that cost is a different color. If we recall what we discussed earlier regarding interpolation, our editor changes the color of interpolated variables for us. This means it's interpolating the cost, but not the whole calculation. We'll need to change that because we want to write out the calculated value. You'll also notice that because we use the $sign to indicate string interpolation, our output didn't include a $sign. We'll have to figure that out too. Most programming languages offer a concept known as an escape character. Escape characters are used to escape the current logical evaluation of whatever you're typing into a string. We know that in Dart, the $sign character is used before a variable to indicate that you'd like to interpolate that variable into the string you're working in. An escape character tells the compiler, no, I actually really do want a $sign here. So we'll make two changes here. The first one is we'll add an escaped $sign before our interpolation $sign, and you'll notice that we've wrapped our expression in curly braces. Curly braces can be used to help string interpolation know exactly what it should interpolate. So in this case, we want to calculate the value and then interpolate that calculated value into our string. We've made some changes and this code looks good to me, so let's go ahead and run it. Great, you can see that it output $1.07, just like we expected. This video is already getting long, so we won't jump into these now, but I do want to make sure that you're aware that there's a whole slew of other operations you can do with numbers in Dart. You can divide, you can get the remainder of division using the modulus operator, and of course you can add and subtract. Later, we'll get into importing packages, and you can even import math packages to do complex mathematical expressions. This seems like a great stopping point, so if you found this video helpful, I would really appreciate a thumbs up on it. Additionally, if you'd like to make sure that you get notified whenever I release new Dart and Flutter videos, make sure you're subscribed to the channel and the bell icon is lit. Thanks for your time and have a wonderful day.